Hello everybody, Maven here, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today I'm going to show you quite possibly the most OP hunter build of Season of the Haunted. It almost compares to the Titan. It's ridiculous. Before I talk about it, just take a look at this clip. I don't know if you caught that, but I didn't shoot my weapons at all other than the one parasite shot to nuke Carl, because this build is based around throwing knives with the Ophidia Spathe exotic hunter chest that gives you an additional knife charge. And the way that we were able to get our throwing knife back endlessly is that we are pairing it with the aspect called Knock 'em Down. Now you might have heard many YouTubers talk about Knock 'em Down and how it makes Blade Barrage really OP this season, which is another plus about this build, but people always ignore the secondary line of text. It says, while radiant, final blows with your throwing knife are going to fully refund melee energy. And we're going to become radiant by throwing our throwing knife because of Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks, when they connect with targets, it doesn't even have to kill them. It just has to connect. It is going to make you radiant. And then on top of that, when you get your throwing knife kills, Ember of Empyrean is going to extend the duration of radiant so that you can stay radiant forever and continue to spam throwing knives, and Knock 'em Down is going to keep on fully refunding your throwing knife energy. And not to mention, Ember of Empyrean also extends the duration of your restoration, which you can get from your healing grenade, or this season in specific, we can get it from classy restoration. Now this is nothing new, I'm sure you've seen it in many build videos on YouTube before, but yeah, basically with this build, we are immortal and we are constantly healing at all times, and enemies cannot kill us, all the way up to just about master difficulty content. It's quite ridiculous right now. And if you happen to miss some throwing knives, or you're using them to take down a big target and you run out of energy, the way you're going to get your throwing knife charges back is by using Gambler's Dodge. Dodging next to an enemy is going to fully restore your melee ability. Now the way I thought this worked back in the day is that it would only restore one of your two knife charges. But as it turns out, if you take a look at this clip here, I'm going to waste both of my knives, and then I'm going to dodge next to an add, and it fully restores both of my melee charges, which is insane. That is so awesome. I don't know if this is intended by Bungie or if this is a bug, but it's great. So that means you don't even need any strength investment. I happen to have 8 strength, but you can have 0 strength and this build would still work. All you really need is 100 mobility, because you just dodge to get your knives back if you waste them, and also Knock 'em Down is just going to fully restore them anyways, so you don't even need strength at all. And now what's going to help us get our dodge charge back quicker is that on our gauntlets we are running Focusing Strike. We get class ability energy when we deal damage with a melee attack, and you know, we're pretty much always dealing damage with a melee attack, so that's going to make our Gambler's Dodge come back all the time, and if we run out of throwing knives, we will likely have our dodge to get some restoration and get our knives back. Now let's talk about the rest of our mods. So you might have noticed when I was getting a bunch of throwing knife kills, enemies were dropping solar elemental wells like candy. And that is because we are running bountiful wells on our cloak, which says that elemental well mods that make an elemental well will now stack for each additional copy. We only have 2 copies of Melee Wellmaker, which spawn an elemental well when we get a powered melee kill, but for some reason they stack so that you get 3 solar elemental wells when you get a throwing knife kill. And when we grab those solar elemental wells, not only are they going to give us ability energy back, like our dodge and knives importantly, but they're also going to trigger our Font of Might. So when we pick up a solar elemental well, our solar weapons are going to gain a 25% damage boost for 10 seconds. And that stacks on top of Radiant, and Radiant is a 25% damage boost. So all in all, when we get a throwing knife kill and pick up that well, we're immediately getting a 50% damage buff to our solar weapons. And that is really insane with the Parasite, which I made an entire video based off of this alone that I will link in the card up above on the top right corner of your screen. I highly recommend you go and check that out because it just shows how insane the Parasite is on Solar 3.0. But if you happen to die and lose your ×20 worm stack, or you happen to just be out of Parasite ammo, don't worry, because you can pair it with a 1-2 punch shotgun, and the interaction with these throwing knives and 1-2 punch is pretty insane. When you activate that 1-2 punch, you have just enough time to throw 2 throwing knives, and they will both get the benefits of 1-2 punch. To show you just how much burst damage this actually does, we're going to compare it against the Gallarhorn. So let's take a shot at Carl and see how much damage it does. So it did a little bit over half of his health with one shot. And now let's compare it to Astral Horizon with one shot plus Ophidia Spathe throwing knives. So as you can see, it did way more damage than a shot of Gallarhorn, and the cool thing about the 1-2 punch shotgun is that you can simply just activate your Gambler's dodge, get your throwing knives back, and then do it again. So it's going to do a heck of a lot more burst damage than a whole clip of Galley can. And that's heavy ammo. This is only special. Now, if you caught that during the clip, when I threw the throwing knives at Carl, it caused him to ignite, dealing an extra big chunk of damage. And that's because Knife Trick deals Scorch on hit. And when you pair that with Ember of Ashes that says you apply more Scorch stacks to targets, 2 throwing knives is just enough to make them ignite. So the knives alone deal a bunch of damage. So here's a clip with just the knives. And if you're the type of player that loves the tractor cannon, it also pairs very well with this build, especially with the 1-2 punch shotgun. Check this out. So tractor cannon is also a pretty good thing to use. So my primary weapon of choice with this build is the punching out sidearm. I highly recommend just going with any solar primary that has the swashbuckler perk, because you get a ×5 stack of it immediately just by getting a melee kill, and obviously we're doing that all the time with this build with our throwing knives, and that's going to give you a 35% damage buff. And then when you get that throwing knife kill and pick up the solar elemental well that it makes, that's also going to proc Fanta Might, and the knife itself is proccing Radiant. So all you have to do is throw a knife at an enemy, and just like that, you get 85% extra damage, basically turning your primary weapon into a heavy machine gun. Now, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the Cryosthesia 77K. I didn't test this, but I recommend giving it a try because it gives you easy access to freezing targets, and when you melee a frozen target, it does a lot of damage because of the shatter. And finally, that is it for the build. It's really big and extensive, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below. And if you have any suggestions of what could possibly contribute to this build, feel free to let me know. And I'm going to show you some more gameplay with this build in a moment, but first things first, I'm just going to do my outro here. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment. Those 2 actions really help the algorithm and the video's performance. And if you are new, consider subscribing. And with that, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.